Welcome to my first Q&A. Well, not my first one with you lovely people, the Walking Dead bunch. It's the first day of the zombie apocalypse. What methods would you try to use to keep yourself from getting bit or scratched? Personally, I think I would cover my arms and legs in a bunch of folded up newspapers. That reminds me of,
What was he?
punch them, like Shane. I think just wearing like real protective clothing, like we've seen Glenn a few times walking around in like soldier suits, you know, suits that have real padding in. But the only issue is like you'd have to really fortify your entire body. What you're really doing if you don't do that is just reducing probability by covering, I don't know, an elbow. Maybe there's a chance that the only time you ever were going to get bitten was on your elbow and somehow you, weren't bitten on your elbow. I'm still trying to find a way to say that without saying that. I don't know if you guys have ever tried it, but if you're speaking in a sentence, it's really hard to, like, you know, like it just doesn't feel right. Like all my energy for that sentence gets put into the wah. Me and my fiance always wah now too. The wah came from reactions because I started watching shows that were really wah worthy. See, look at that, she's puking and everything. Dude, get her out of there. That's way too traumatic for her right now. Look, let me explain. Screw that. I think the wah started from the Luton videos. Like I had this habit of going, oh. But then because not every moment is that like I'm not jaw to the floor, you know, every single shocking moment. Naturally, I just developed this response every time something wasn't shocking to the point where I was speechless, but wasn't not shocking. How did you feel coming into this at the start versus how do you feel about it now, and how do you feel about the future of the channel? I expected a lot of shock, but like I just expected something brutal. This has been like the most morally conflicting show of my entire life. So now I just feel lost. It's not just a matter of, I'm not gonna have time anymore, screw that. That didn't last long. I feel like a character. I think that's what I didn't expect. Okay, I have two questions related to The Walking Dead. One, what do you think about AMC's decision to fake Glenn's death as an easy tool to keep the audience in suspense? I'm all for it because like it did what it was supposed to do, right? We couldn't have just sent Glenn away and then have him not come back, because it almost would feel like we would know he'd return. You know, Maggie's perspective, we don't know whether he's coming back. So they have to put us in a position where we feel the way Maggie does, but see a little bit more. It's a lot harder to make us have no hope. But when you put a scene like that in, when it genuinely looks like someone's being torn open, it left me in utter state of like, I don't know if he's dead. I don't know if he's dead. And then boom. I'm happy that they did it because I don't think it's something that wouldn't happen in that universe, right? Someone could go out, someone could get into a situation, everyone at home is gonna feel like they're gone. So I'm happy they put it in. Like, it came at a perfect time that made you sort of feel like characters aren't invincible. And two, would you consider at any point doing a tier list of all the seasons you have watched so far? 100%. Are you planning to play any other video games on this channel? I've wanted to put gaming videos on this channel for a long time, but the only real games that I like outside of story-based games are FIFA, sports-style games, and then some shooters which I'm not very good at. If your partner's dying wish was to sleep with their ex, would you let them? How would you feel about that being their last dying wish? If my partner's wish is to canoodle with anyone but me before they die, then it would break my heart, but at the same time, if that's their dying wish, I'm not going to deny them. Imagine me gatekeeping someone's final life aspirations to intermingle with previous lover boys. You know what, I don't know how to answer this without it sounding weird. And I need some advice on how the heck do you become an adult. I just turned 18 and I am terrified. I don't know. Just be yourself and life will pull you in the right direction naturally. At the same time, don't try and tug yourself too far in one direction because of expectations. Would you and your friends be able to survive in the Last of Us universe? What role or job would you think you'd be in? Who says I've got friends? I don't think I'd like to be around big groups of people. I'd also want to be somewhere safe first before I started making connections, only because like what use is a group if you're out in the middle of nowhere in the Last of Us universe? Let's be real, like they're not quite like the Walking Dead walkers, are they? What role or job? I don't know, like I just want to roam, you know, I'd want to be free, I want to live my life, I wouldn't want to feel restricted by the apocalypse, but at the same time, of course I wouldn't want to die. I feel like it would be pretty cool to like try and help run a community. Be a moral compass if I can, unless my morals go out the window. Did you consider to completely go, I swear I can't read, eh? Did you consider to completely go to another country, like in Europe, or at least as a tourist? I technically did move to England with the intention of moving there permanently. I want to go to America. Like, I really badly want to visit the US. Born in the USA. Is that how that song goes? Oh my gosh. Would you rather fight 20 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? Actually, you know what? Well, I'm going to test something out for this question. 20 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? I kind of get the feeling like 20 duck-sized horses would actually be pretty lethal, you know? Like, small things can hurt. Just imagine like a tiny little horse bucking you in the shin. I mean, you've got 20 of them, and they're fast as... For me, I don't really like the sound of that. Duck-sized horse, however. No, horse-sized duck, however. Like, can you imagine that walking particularly fast? Like, I don't think it's going to be particularly speedy. I mean, it might be a little bit fast, but at least there's only one of them. Maybe that might be pretty fast, actually. But it's only one of them. What's the worst that could happen?
I don't know.
Right, that's, quite enough of that. As I've watched your moral compass slowly shift as you get through The Walking Dead, I noticed that it seemed to have an effect on your decision making in the game, seemingly making you a little more comfortable with morally draining decisions. My question then is, if you think the show and game combined have changed your moral beliefs in real life in any way, such as maybe changing your standpoint on moral matters like death penalties, abortions, etc. Holy guacamole, that's a question and a half. Oh, I haven't really thought about this, not gonna lie. The thing is, right, is in terms of death penalties in real life, it depends on how you want to put it, because the thing is the apocalypse I don't really consider, like, comparable to real life. So, like, I don't believe in the death penalty simply because I believe in rehab, I believe in human rights, I believe that everyone has human rights. Yes, that includes the scum of the earth. Human rights aren't what people think they are, like a lot of people sort of think that if someone does something really bad, they sort of revoke their rights. That's not really how it works. They revoke some of their rights, but human rights still exist. Like, people don't get put in prison with no human rights. And not just that, but we'd rather rehab people and better society, like, and blah, 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 blah. So my view on the death penalty hasn't really changed. I don't really want to go too much into that because it's a real tough cookie of a conversation. I don't know if I just answered your question. I hope I did. Silly question. Are you a pancake or a waffle person? This is so easy, man. Like, think of what your answer to that is in your head right now. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Pancakes. Blueberry pancakes. Chocolate chip pancakes. They're light. They're fluffy. I find with waffles, they're always like, they're too big and dry and no. I don't mind them, but pancakes are far superior. If you could bring back to life any one character from The Walking Dead show, who would it be? Oh my god. I'm gonna give you two answers, and the only reason is because there's one out of curiosity, and the other one, I just want to bring them back. So the one out of curiosity would be Shane. The crazy thing is, if I look back at some of Shane's decisions now, and I think about comparing those to the decisions we've made, damn. In which case, like, his logic probably would fit in to an extent. To an extent, I still think he was problematic, and the issue with that as well is, Shane was too far ahead for the moment, right? His logic was not right for the group he was in, and he caused chaos, and he caused splinters, and he just caused issues. If he was here, if he somehow came back, how do we know that he wouldn't just be like us now, but then even worse? But who would I actually bring back? Probably Herschel, It would be Herschel. I'd bring back Herschel to really anchor the group, especially when we're going through darker times. Having Herschel around for me, I feel, would just be like gold. If Sophia never died, do you think Enid would still exist as a The Walking Dead character? Extending the question, if Sophia was still alive in the season you're in, seasons leading up, how do you think Sophia would fare in seasons 2 to 6, and what do you think her relationship with Carl and her mother would be? Oh, I see. Do you mean because, like, Carl and Sophia, like, I don't know, maybe we could have had a Carl having love troubles, like, he's gonna have everyday problems growing up, he's gonna have issues as a kid, we've got to expect at some point he's gonna have to pick between which girl he likes. I don't know, I think she'd still exist, I just think they would have written it slightly differently. I think Sophia dying really marked a quite important part in The Walking Dead. It's really freaking rare for a kid to survive the brutality of this world, right? And she went through a lot, like you said, so goodness knows how we would be faring. I don't even know. I think Enid would still exist. I think it would be a different question. And if Sophia did survive, I don't think it would have been permanently, because I think her dying has shaped Carol in a really interesting way. So, like, how would they rewrite Carol? If Dale and Shane were still alive up season 6, what roles would they play, and would Shane be with the group? I don't think Shane would be with the group. That scene, like, we had the whole scene where Shane basically tried to attack Rick and blah blah blah, and then Rick killed Shane, yada yada yada. I genuinely think he probably would have left, but then he would have come back. Like, I don't think it would have been a permanent thing. I just don't think he would have been able to cope not making decisions he felt were genuinely for the better of the group. I think he would have really struggled with it sort of being Rick's domain. I think he genuinely would have just caused more issues. If Merle was still alive, what role would he play in the group? What would Merle think of Alexandria, and what would his relationship and same thing. Although I think his role would be looking after his brother, you know, like I think that's what his purpose would have been if he had survived. I think he was realizing what was important and he was slowly coming round, and then I don't know, I think it would have been a battle, and I think there would have been lots of ups and downs, but ultimately I genuinely thought he would have just looked out for his brother. You know what, the weird thing is I kind of get the feeling Merle would have been around longer and probably better than Shane would. What's your favourite movie of 2023? Probably Scream 6. But did I watch Host in 2023? That's probably one of my favourite horror movies now. If you had a choice to be transported into any show you've seen, which show would you pick? It's really hard because all my favourite shows are like brutal and about fighting, and like I love Vikings and Game of Thrones, and do I really want to be in those worlds? Riverdale, because I want to experience the highs and lows, the glory of... Since the first season of The Walking Dead, what qualities do you think a character has to have in order to survive? Versus back in season 1, you would have disliked a character 4. I always talk about adaptability, and they always talk about it in the show as well, like the ability to have a switch and be moral, be immoral, protect your family, protect other people, be open to anything, you know, like just the ability to be flexible and just have different qualities from different people at different times whenever needed, and have that switch and have the ability to control that whenever you want. That's a trait that you could imagine being back in season 1 and being a little bit like, oh, like, you know, getting quite angsty about immoral acts. But now I'm a lot more lenient with it because I've seen the consequences. Would you rather live in the world of The Walking Dead or never be able to see another episode of Doctor Who or even convince another person it ever existed? I'd rather live in The Walking Dead. Are you gonna set me up with a projector screen or like some kind of portable DVD player? You've only got 17 DVDs. Now no one has DVDs. Think about how funny that quote is now. I'd rather be in The Walking Dead universe. I know it sounds kind of cringy to say, but I feel like I would just follow Rick's sort of way of thinking, you know, like being real sort of moral and not sort of being like, you know, being a leader, but being like overwhelmed with morals. Like you feel like this responsibility to protect that part of people, not really wanting to kill people at first and then having it forced upon you. I feel like everything that I would have considered bad in season 1 would have been forced upon me, and I would have developed some kind of insensitive nature to it. Does that make sense? I desensitized to it. And so what would be my weapon of choice in a zombie apocalypse? Now I've actually done a bit of thinking about this. I kind of feel like I wouldn't want a gun. I'd want something that didn't require ammunition, something that I would just have with me at all times, you know, like I wouldn't just run out of it. Now at first I was thinking, oh, I'd like some kind of long range sort of sharp object, but I think I'd like just like a knife, you know, like a real small concealable whip out kind of knife, you know, boom, in the eye. It's also useful for other things, you know, like probably a knife. I've only got one weapon at the start of The Walking Dead. Knife or knives, if I'm allowed knives. And if you could raid one store place, where would that be? I don't know if I would. At least not at first, because if I raid, that's going to be everyone's idea, right? Should I make a video of my The Walking Dead outbreak plan? Yes, let's do that at some point. If enough people want that, let's have a few videos when I genuinely sit here and plan out what I do from my very seat in the apocalypse. Boom. Happens right now. Oh my god. Walker at the door. Do I have a weapon right here? I have a popsicle stick. Nope, I'm dead. Never mind. I have this little knife that it was literally right here. It's from South Africa. It's pretty cool, eh? Boom. Side of the head. I don't want to do that because I'm going to get demonetized. Okay, I have 2 questions. How are you doing today, and who's your favourite doctor? I am doing great, thank you very much. And my favourite doctor is David Tennant. But, big but, Shooty has been fantastic so far, and I freaking love that guy in Sex Education. It's mental. Maybe for the first time in a long time, David Tennant could have some competition.
You should wash your hands, you dirty pig.
Comparing the UK to New Zealand, what's the top 3 best and worst things about living in each country? UK is nice and cold. New Zealand's too hot. Snow. You get snow every now and then, and it's cold, and it's nice and chilly and easy to sleep. You don't need to rely on air conditioning. Like, people don't even have air conditioning in their household. Isn't that mad? We have air conditioning everywhere. Like, we have like 3 pumps in our house that can do heat and cold. When I went to the UK, I was like, do you guys have aircon? No. UK is so much closer to everything. You can travel, like, so much easier. If I want to go to Australia, it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars, right? And that's only Australia. Who wants to go to Australia? Do it from the UK? Boom. Easy peasy. And the last one, when I was able to eat them, Jaffa cakes. But of course, I can't eat them anymore, so it doesn't really matter. Pros of New Zealand, way less people, to the point where, like, it just feels so much more like I can walk around and not be just surrounded by other human beings. Beaches, another pro. Like, that kind of culture of New Zealand is just like unmatched. Like, I don't think I could. One of the things I missed. And a final thing. No TV licenses. Like, oh my gosh, they have to pay to watch just TV in your house. Like, you have to have a license to be able to watch TV in the UK. What are your favourite video games you played? Yes, The Last of Us. I've answered this one. The Last of Us is easily my favourite, and then I really liked Resident Evil 4 when I was a kid. If you could be reincarnated as any animal, what would you pick? Oh my god, I like this question. Who used to ask that question as a kid? I swear, is that just me? A dog. You know how much attention and cuddles my dogs get?
Ooh, hello, gorgeous. Hello, gorgeous.
Hello, hey. I kind of half woke her up, so she's not very happy with me. This makes me sound like a bit of a cuddle slut, but like, imagine just getting belly rubs, or back rubs, or unlimited attention, free, like food, 3 meals a day, luxury. Well, what advice would you give someone who wants to be be a vegan? Oh wow, I love this kind of question. It depends on why you want to go vegan. If you're like me, you want to go vegan because you just don't like what happens to animals, you don't like the idea of animals having to die for food, you don't like the idea of a silly food chain, and I don't want to get too like argumentative about this, and I don't want some big debate to start about veganism, because I know that kind of debate can get quite toxic. But my advice to you would be just think about why you want to do it. Especially when you start, I cannot stress this enough. When you start, think about why. I till this day watch activism videos, you know, from slaughterhouses and from what happens to animals and information like documentaries and blah blah blah. I watch it all because I know it reminds me why, and I do it for the animals. It's always for them. It is incredibly easy if you know why you're doing it. If the Doctor rocked up in the TARDIS and said, come with me, knowing what you know about the life in the TARDIS, would you go? Why or why not? If yes, where and when would you want your first trips to be? Yes. It's too good an offer to pass up. Like, you get to explore things beyond your imagination. I get excited about the idea of being able to colonize a planet we don't even know if we could survive on. Imagine that. Imagine going to the unknown to explore the unexplored. And I know that everything, like, obviously the Doctor Who, a lot of it has been explored, but a lot of it hasn't. Where I want to go is the future. Like, I mean, the past is there, but I want to go to the past at some point, but my first trips would definitely be into the future. What made you want to start a YouTube channel? I just love sharing, you know, and stories, and I love the idea of being able to contribute to creativity. If you were put into a Walking Dead apocalypse and could only have 3 items to start with, what would they be and why? A knife? This is a bloody hard one to answer, you know. This is why I keep saying that I need to make what I would do in the apocalypse video, like, and really go into it. And like, I could like post like photos of like things near where I live. I'm not going to post my address obviously, but places in my hometown that could be hotspots, and this and that and the other, and what would happen in my hometown in The Walking Dead. That would be crazy. What, you know how cool a video series that would be? I want to say food and water, but like, those are kind of not easily obtainable, but I feel like at the onset they're not impossible to find. Car, I would want some kind of vehicle to be able to get away from hotspots. You know, I don't want to be anywhere near hotspots on the onset. I don't really know the answer, because my gut's saying water bottle or something like that, real simple like that, but I just feel like that wouldn't be too crazy difficult to find. Maybe like some kind of protective gear. Something like some kind of gear that would be like somewhat bite resistant. When I'm initially out there and exposed, I don't want to die like in the first 24 hours getting bitten by accident, you know. That would suck. If you could choose one superpower, what would it be? It would be to fly. It would be to fly. Doesn't matter how. If there was a zombie apocalypse, what would be your plan? Okay, I apologize, Pointless Gamers. I will make a video about this because clearly it is a question that has been asked a lot. How are you enjoying The Walking Dead game? It's absolutely fantastic. I don't like the time pressure because it stresses me out, but other than that, brilliant. What's your favourite season of The Walking Dead this season? Probably. Yeah, this season's been crazy. And that's a good place for us to leave that, guys. We have answered a gazillion questions. I apologise if any of your comments have been missed. I hope this was somewhat informative and you enjoyed it. I think the thing we've learnt today is that I need to make an apocalypse plan. Well, yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you did, as ever, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to channel for new content every single week. And of course, for the Instagram, I don't know if I'll be replying to comments on this video. Maybe I will. I'll try my best. That is all from me, guys. As ever, it's been more Dan. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.